and good morning. My name is Martha Munoz, and thank you for tuning in to Science 101, your number one source for writing and science. Up next, we'll be having Sean and Steven talking about physics and math and what it takes to write in their field.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Stellar Steve Star. Let's get right into the news. Today we have a special guest, Sean the scientist, here to discuss what he's been writing in physics from his professor, Dr. Small.
Correct. Dr. Small told me that since scientists do lots of experiments to prove if certain ideas or theories are true, we have to write lab reports so that other scientists can redo the experiment but also get the same results.
What do you include in the lab report?
Okay, so for a lab report, you would put in the purpose for doing the experiment, the procedures that you took, any data or calculations that you found, and a conclusion that states whether or not the experiment was successful.
Oh, okay. Besides being a part-time anchorman, I'm also a math major, and what you said about your lab reports is very similar to what mathematicians would write about. We write theorems and conjectures to prove whether or not a formula or mathematical concepts is true or not.
So even courses that involve mostly numbers and formulas actually require a good amount of skill in writing.
I couldn't agree more.
We're rolling.
Oh! Thank you for filling us in on all those deets on how people write in physics and math. Up next, we'll have Ronaldo, and he'll be talking to us about writing in biology.
Thank you for that introduction. Now, what is it like writing for the biology department, you may be asking? Well, it depends on what kind of writing you're wishing to write for the biology in general. It can go from research paper to scientific articles to scientific journals to any aspect from writing grants or asking for grants. The writing will be very different in each source. Let's start with scientific reports, or, as you may know, scientific journals. Usually the writing is very creative. It's not a lot of result heavy, so it won't rely a lot in graphs, results, or anything. It'll try to convey the idea in the most basic way possible for the enjoyment of people to read on their own free time. Now, what is it like writing biological reports? Well, that gets a little bit more complex, and at times it can get a little bit more difficult to understand and see the flow amongst the writing that it goes by. One usually starts with a bright scientific name that captures the attention of the reader that will be reading this report, followed by an abstract in which pretty much it specifies and gives a whole overview of what this research was about. Following the abstract, you see a brief introduction as to the research that they will be doing, maybe even at times bringing up other research that was done in a similar time or with different aspects. Then it's followed to the materials and methods section, which is pretty much where they explain how their research was done, under what circumstances, what materials were used, and what their overall point was, including the hypothesis. Following that, we see a lot of data results. This is a section you usually see with like a bunch of charts and a bunch of writing in which they explain the results and how it compares to their hypothesis, and therefore seeing if the hypothesis they made is relevant or not, or if it's even valuable to be taken into account. Finally, you see more of a conclusion overview, which is pretty much summing up everything into one single nutshell in terms of explaining if their research was successful or not. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, and in that section is where you will normally find if it was. And then, pretty much, I guess, unlike English, you're free to write however you want. You're free, full of creativity, and free to go in whatever flow you wish to go in. Sadly, for the biology department, you're more restricted because you have to be more direct and you have to be not as creative as you would want because you're basing everything off results and off experimentation that you yourself did. It can be hard because at times you have to use acronyms, you have to use their own biological lingo, as people may call it, but it's not impossible. And overall, one can learn a lot from it because maybe you realize you don't want to stay most of your time writing reports, and that is fine. It helps you understand what the process is and the overall goal that you're trying to achieve at the end of the day. So pretty much, the biology department has a lot of writing involved, because it does. But it's up to you to determine how you want to communicate your own research or your own discovery in a certain topic. And so it's up to you. Just follow the criterias, follow the writing structure that is usually given, which can vary from scientist to scientist, and you will see incredible results. And now we will move on to the chemistry department to see how it is that a chemist is able to write. And so hopefully we learn a lot from it.
Rolling.
Thank you for giving us all that information we need to know about writing in biology. Up next, we'll be having Emily, and she'll be
coming at you live from Chemistry 101. Let's get started. Earlier today, I interviewed Dr. Michael Page, and can I just say he is fun-spirited and enjoys his job here at Cal Poly Pomona. He received his master's and PhD from UCLA. UCLA, people. Now, I don't know about you guys, but UCLA has been my dream school since the first grade. Now, what I found most interesting about Dr. Page is that he uses SciFinder Scholar and Web of Science. These databases are great. They are available to anyone at any time on the Cal Poly Pomona Library Research webpage. It's amazing how these databases work. I am able to create these itty-bitty molecular models, and it's fun, simple, easy, great. Give it a shot, you'll never know what you're capable of. I hope to see y'all catching up with today's technology, and that's all the time I have left. Take advantage of this great research opportunity. Bye!
Thank you, Emily. Now, to wrap up this segment, we'll be having Bree, and she'll be talking about writing in kinesiology.
What genres are used in this major, you may ask? Well, a lot of work that's done is published in scholarly journals, peer-reviewed literature, and written reports based on data that's been collected around physical activity. And does writing vary in different kinesiology courses? It definitely can. And for more like physiology classes, we do a lot of lab reports, especially since kinesiology is a science major. And we do a lot of critical analysis and like research papers and a lot of lesson plans. And the purpose of writing in the major of kinesiology is educational, and our whole point is to educate people about the field.